Okay, purple Skittle from Europe. Here it goes. Ooh, that's different.
It's so different than grape.
Hi, folks. This is Jacob Grace, and you're listening to Perennial AF, the Savanna Institute's podcast about perennial agroforestry, where you can hear what our staff have been working on and nerding out about lately. In this episode, we'll hear from our lead blackcurrant and elderberry researcher, Lily Hislop, who just got back from a month-long trip to Europe, where she was meeting with European blackcurrant breeders and learning about their methods. If you're a fan of the podcast, or of blackcurrants, then you'll know that blackcurrants were banned in the US for several decades because they can be an intermediate host for white pine blister rust, and are in fact still banned in some US states. However, in Europe, they've been growing, eating, and breeding this perennial berry the entire time it was banned here. And now that we have rust-resistant currant varieties available in the US, we're working hard to catch up to our European counterparts. Blackcurrants are so common and well known in Europe that they're used as the purple flavor in common candies like Skittles. And because Lily is such a thorough and dedicated researcher, she brought home a suitcase full of different blackcurrant flavored candies. When I sat down with her to talk about the trip, we started out by tasting some of the blackcurrant candies she brought back with her. We won't listen back to the full taste test here, but we will be posting some of it online. Some of the candy was good, and some of it was startling. Here's Lily Hislop. Lily Hislop, welcome back to the Perennial AF podcast.
Stoked to be on the show, thanks.
Yeah, we're here at the office in Madison, Wisconsin, recording in person, and we have assorted candies and treats laid out in front of us that we've just been tasting here because you just got back from a big month-long trip to Europe. Mm-hmm. And you came back with all of these European candies that have blackcurrant as the primary purple flavor. So we had some Skittles where the purple was blackcurrant flavored. We had some fruit gums, which are still in my molars because they were very chewy. And then we finished off with some Airwaves blackcurrant flavored chewing gum, which I think we both agreed was not very good.
Not my preferred taste.
It was very powerful, and I felt like I was at the dentist. So that was a fun way to kind of kick things off here. And we're gonna get into your trip and talk about what you've been up to. So maybe I should say before you start too, you are the elderberry and blackcurrant breeder at the Savanna Institute. So that's kind of where this all begins, is that you are possibly the only institutionally supported blackcurrant breeder in the Western Hemisphere.
Yes. So breeding is a really particular art, science, engineering that has a lot of little trickety tricks that are hard to learn from scientific papers. How do you clean seeds? How do you store your seeds? How are you making your crosses? Things like that.
Yes, and sorry to keep interrupting, but you said this yesterday, and I thought it was really interesting how when people publish papers with blackcurrant research, the papers don't usually include like how they grew it or how they did the stuff.
They'll do like basic agronomics of like, we planted the plants this many rows apart, like this many inches apart, and like the rows were this width and the soil was roughly this kind. Mm-hmm. But there's lots of like nuances there that you're not going to get in that single sentence. Right. So when I started this breeding program, we're kind of starting from scratch. I'm the first blackcurrant breeder and elderberry breeder Savanna Institute has hired, and I'm coming from a blueberry breeding background and a sweet corn breeding background. And I didn't really have anyone to teach me these tricks. So there's a lot of breeders of blackcurrants over in Europe, and the idea was I want to go and visit them, see what their labs are like, how do they have their breeding programs set up, and what tricks are they using. And then this kind of big tour of Europe blossomed around that of, can I see how they're growing blackcurrants and elderberries, and how do the cooperatives work? How are people selling their fruit? How are people doing research and distributing research about these crops? So it started with just a trip to Poland to see Stan Pluta and learn about his breeding program, and it blossomed into about 18 different stops in 5 countries, and it was amazing and super enriching, and I'm really excited to share the knowledge that I got there with other people so it can be useful outside of just my brain.
Yeah, so you explained it to me as you were setting up this visit to Poland to visit Stan Pluta, who's done a ton of work breeding black currants. And then from there, you also went to the European Agroforestry Conference. Is that right?
URAF.
Oh, right. Depending on the language, the words get put in different orders. But so you said when you were there at the conference, that was another stop that you made, and that at one point you like put the map of where you were planning to go when you were giving a talk, and you just asked this room full of European agroforesters, where should I go? Well, I'm here in Europe, and that kind of helped like fill out the rest of the trip.
Yeah,
and I thought that was really cool.
I had a skeleton of the places I was going to go. I'm like, I'm going to be in Poland on this date, in France on this date, and then I have an unscheduled week, and I'll probably fill it somehow. And I did. It was great.
Yeah.
So yeah, we started in Switzerland, and even before I started, I was connected with a nursery here in the United States to do another thing of my work. And they're like, oh, I have a friend in Switzerland, let me connect you. And so they connected me with Lupera, which is a nursery that does breeding of black currants and many, many other fruits for a home gardening market. And they're actually working on breeding elderberries, American elderberries specifically for Europe, because American elderberries fruit on first-year wood and European elderberries don't. So he was really excited about American elderberries, and he showed me his breeding program and gave me a map and let me loose to taste every one of his selections. It was so fun. Yeah. And then we did URAF, which was great, and then it just kept flowing from there, all the different stops.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Every place I went, was so nice to be shown around and taught by all these many, many different people. And so I had little gift bags to give people, including I made lino cuts.
That's totally a black currant. That looks so good.
Similar to woodblock printing. And I had some of those McCormick black currant spice blends, and I was giving those to people. Yeah. But eventually I visited so many people, and so many of them were surprise add-ons that I ran out of gifts. So then I was just like, hi, person in Austria, here's some stuff from France.
Yeah.
But I brought enough note cards that I could write most people a handwritten note.
So. Oh, that's great. Yeah. So you said you went to 5 countries.
Mm-hmm.
Officially to study the breeding. So you went to France, mm-hmm. Poland, mm-hmm. What else?
Austria, Switzerland, and the UK.
Okay.
Because Scotland's not its own country officially.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And did you start in Poland?
I started in Switzerland, flew into Zurich, visited Books, Switzerland, which is where one of the Lupera nurseries is, which is right on the border with Liechtenstein. So on the solstice, I just walked to Liechtenstein to say I could. And then URAF was in Neuchâtel, Switzerland. And that was during the heat wave, so that was real hot. But I presented about elderberry research there and the elderberry work that we've done through a specialty crop research initiative. And then it was France from there, through the Burgundy region, especially in Dijon, and then a little bit near Paris where another farm was, and then to Austria to see elderberry production there, because that's the main hub for elderberries in Europe, is Austria, and to visit a bunch of agroforestry demonstration sites, which was connected at URAF, where someone in the audience was like, oh yeah, I can show you around. And he showed me to so many really cool sites and the happiest like red currants I've ever seen in my life, and like really cool blueberry farms. Yeah. And then from Austria to Poland, and to see farms there, including the world record holder for the most amount of black currant tonnage produced per hectare. Yeah. And then to Scotland.
Okay. And what was the record for the most black currant tonnage produced per hectare?
19,000 metric tons on a hectare.
That sounds like a lot.
Yeah, so my brain is entirely in euros, kilos, and hectares right now.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about the heat wave? Because I know we talked about that the other day, and we were seeing it on the news, and you were there in the thick of it, and you mentioned how a lot of places just didn't have air conditioning.
Yeah. It's it's a little bizarre to be in Europe right now, but also kind of really nice because we have like total suppression of like talking about climate change here in the US. And in Europe, they aren't dealing with that. So people are like, yes, this is climate change and this is bad and we have to mitigate climate change. And we have to adapt, but we also have to like fix climate change, which is really nice and really refreshing.
Right.
And also, the heat wave is really, really brutal. Where I was for the European Agroforestry Conference, it was an old building that had been updated for modern conveniences, like and like accessibility things. Like one of the university buildings was this really old building with big marble staircases and automatic doors. They've made the big heavy wooden doors automatically swing open when you walk into them. So that's cool, but they haven't put air conditioning in a lot of places because they haven't historically needed to. Yeah. The buildings are designed to retain heat because that's what they need to do historically. And so we're sitting in conference rooms that are 96 degrees. People are like, everyone has a fan and is fanning themselves. People are just walking into the lake that's next to the conference building in their conference clothes and then coming back sopping wet because it's like, it's a real health hazard.
Yeah.
So it was a little hard to focus at the conference because it was just so hot. And then we saw really big agronomic impacts of this. The black currants were just about to be ripe in France and Poland, for example, and they were cooked. Like they were really heat stressed on the vine or on the bush, and wrinkly and jammy and really, really damaged. So usually these places have like specific quality standards of, we want the fruit to have this minimum sugar content and this like quality of fruit and like this minimum number of sticks and leaves. But this year we're so lacking of good quality fruit, we'll just take any fruit at all and we'll deal with it. So they were expecting between 50 and 80% yield loss in France and like 50 to 80% yield loss in Poland as well.
Dang.
Yeah.
I think you had said that you had timed your trip to try to get there like as black currant harvest was starting, and it turned out you were getting there like as it was ending, basically.
I was expecting to pull into France and like on June 30th, I had scheduled to like go and see black currant harvest in Dijon for creme de cassis production. And my host with the Soko Fruits Cooperative was like WhatsApping me and being like, hi, so I think our last harvest's gonna be on June 26th. Yeah. Any way you can make it out for that one instead? I don't think anything else is gonna be harvested after that date. So I skipped the last day of URAF and got a train and managed to make it for the very last harvest, basically. Yeah, and they were working overnight. They were harvesting from 2 a.m. and they were like, we gotta stop at 10. It's not safe to go after that.
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay. We have so much we could talk about. One of the things I wanted to ask about was the Currant Museum.
Oh, yes, it was so fun. So especially in the Burgundy region of France, they grow so many currants, and they grow the currants specifically for creme de cassis. So a creme de cassis company that makes super cassis called Verdrine has a currant museum all about currants, and it was so fun. Oh my God. They had sections about like the common pests in black currants and how to identify them, and had lots of like examples of the pests. They had historic packaging for like 100-year-old creme de cassis bottles. They had sections about the health of currants and like the like health benefits of currants and traditional processing machinery. And they had a little tour through the factory, so you could see the like presses and the stills. And then it all ended with a taste test of a bunch of different black currant dishes, including this really delicious ham with jellied parsley and then a black currant barbecue sauce, and these toasts where it's like trout and black currant mixed together into a paste on toast, and lime ice cream with a black currant like soda syrup on top. Oh, it was very good. Mm-hmm. And then they had a gift shop where I spent about $100.
Yes, as you should. I'm guessing that's maybe the only currant museum in the world.
I would be surprised if there was more.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in Russia, but probably not. The largest producer of black currants in the world is Russia, but they're very secretive, and we kind of don't know where they sell all their fruit to. Like, the rumor around the street is like they sell it mostly to China, but like no one really knows. But they're producing a lot of tonnage over there. And then the second biggest producer is Poland at about 100,000 acres, 45,000 hectares.
Yeah. Maybe let's circle back a little bit. So this trip partly started, it sounds like, because you wanted to visit this researcher named Stan Pluta in Poland. And that when you got in touch with Stan, his comment was that he said, "Don't just visit me." He's like, visit all these other people while you're here too. And he helped connect you to some other folks. But can you talk a little bit about Stan and about some of the work that he's done to get to the point that he's at?
Yeah, Stan Pluta is the, also Stanislaw is his first name as well.
Okay.
Stanislaw, or Stan Pluta, is the small fruit breeder for the Hort Institute in Poland, which is kind of like their equivalent of the USDA. It's a government-supported research organization. And so he breeds 7 crops in total. Historically, he's done a lot of black currants. He does blueberries, he does raspberries and strawberries, and Japanese quince now, and honeyberries.
Okay.
And one more because that was 6.
And
How long has he been doing this?
40 years easy. He's like 67 now, something about that. But he did a lot of his learning about breeding from other historic black currant breeders like Rex Brennan in Scotland. And so he definitely has the mentality of like kind of paying it forward, of like other people were able to share their knowledge with me, and I've really been supported and aided by that, and I want to pass it along as well. So he was really open with all his techniques and happy to show me around. And he set up tours for me at 2 different black currant farms in the area, and I got to see the Hort like post-harvest lab where they look at fruit after harvest and like look at the fruit quality, and I got to see their processing lab where they turn fruit into products and like test various techniques around that, and got to see a bunch of that equipment. I got to see their pesticide testing lab where they like test fruit samples for pesticide residues and then like make reports as like a service. I got to see their like facility for testing pollen viability and pollen germination. We also went to a machine harvesting company called Jagoda and got to see a bunch of their machines up close, and they talked to us about all the different harvesting machines they make. So it was great.
Okay. And I know a big part of your trip was to learn some of these methods that weren't really captured in scientific publications. So what were some of the things that you saw people doing over there that got your attention?
Well, like, one of the questions is, how do you store seed so that I can plant it in future years? In blueberries, I would put them in, clean them and dry them and put them in a little envelope and then put them in the fridge. And I learned from Amanda Mora at the James Hutton Institute, that they don't freeze their fruit before they do that process. They just like rot it. They put it in a plastic bag and let it rot in a fridge for an undetermined amount of time, and then they clean it. They don't freeze it. And Lubera did the same thing. They let the fruit just rot in a plastic bag and then clean the seeds out. And Stan Pluta's technique is to take the fruit, poke a little hole in it, and then squeeze it like a zit to get the seeds out while it's still fresh and like right off the bush. So all these different ways of doing the same thing are going to help me get more seeds more consistently in a way that will help my breeding program have higher success rates. But also, one of the trends that I heard from a lot of people is, oh yeah, ribes, the like genus of black currants, is just kind of really hard to propagate by seed, and you're not necessarily doing anything wrong by having trouble with this.
Yeah, that's probably encouraging.
It is really encouraging.
Or maybe discouraging, maybe a little bit of both.
It's camaraderie,
Yeah.
absolutely. But like, for example, I've been freezing my fruit after it comes off the bush, and then cleaning it in like January, and then putting it on stratification. So I got to see how other people do their stratification and how they're germinating them and on what kind of media they're germinating them. And so all these things are really going to help my success rate.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about the machine harvesting too, which I know you mentioned a little bit about that. And I know that the blackcurrant harvester that we have on our farms is a Polish machine,
Yes.
the Joanna
3.
3.
We have a Joanna 3 here, which is a machine that kind of parts the bush like hair, like gives it a middle part and then harvests one half, and then you turn around and harvest the other half. I saw a lot of different machines in use in France, in both places in France, and in Austria, and in some of the places in Poland. They were all using New Hollander over-the-road grape harvesters. And the Joanna works by having these like vibrating tines that go through the bush. And this one works by having big rubber bands. These really big rubber bands that like squeeze the plant and then vibrate them this way, and then have little catchers at the bottom that bring it up. So it might be because grape is more common in Austria and France, and so therefore there's more used grape harvesters around than black currant harvesters.
Yeah.
But it seemed pretty effective for some people. But then I also had side harvester people tell me that the grape harvesters were bad because they lost too much fruit. So like it also seems a little subjective, and whichever machine you're using is the best machine to use.
Right, like the camps are starting to form.
Yes.
Yeah, that's funny.
And then some of the machines, instead of parting it down the middle and harvesting one side, parts it down the middle and harvests both sides simultaneously. So it goes like with similar tines set up. And that was both the Oscar, which is by the same company as Joanna, and some of the Jagoda machines do that. And then there was a machine that was like from a UK specific company that was also using that method.
Okay.
So a couple different kinds of techniques that all seem to get to the same end. And all of this fruit is for processing for the most part in Europe. So they're not super caring about really beautiful, perfect, intact fruit.
Yes.
And if they do, they're using hand harvesters. They're, as in humans, they're harvesting with people.
Okay. One of the things you were investigating there, maybe a little industrial espionage, was investigating these rumors that people in Europe were machine harvesting elderberries. And what did you find out?
No, they're not. I had heard people in the US be like, yeah, in Austria, some people are machine harvesting elderberries. And so I'm asking around in Austria, and they're like, nope, no one is. Everyone's just using neighbors. It was really interesting to see the different cooperative structures and the different ways that people were selling their fruit and how they were getting them off the farms. In France and in Austria, they were using cooperatives where like a farmer is in a collaboration with other farms. They're gonna sell their fruit together. They're gonna have a like contractually negotiated price that they all share. So you're gonna get 1.3 kilos or euros per kilo of your fruit, no matter what, as a baseline. You might get more if it's a higher quality. And we're all gonna have the same playing field, and so we can all like negotiate with buyers together. Versus Scotland, and almost all the black currants there are sold specifically to the Ribena company for beverages. Okay. And every farm negotiates with Ribena specifically and privately. I asked the farms there, like, what price are you getting for your fruit? And they're like, that is confidential, cannot tell you. I am very happy. Okay. And then in Poland, it is all kind of like every person for themselves. The farmers sell to an aggregator, which is just like a guy with a warehouse. There's aggregators all over. Like people were like, oh yeah, you never have to drive more than 20 kilometers to get to an aggregator. And the price varies day by day. So like day one, it's going to be 0.8 kilos or 0.8 euros per kilo. Tomorrow it might be 0.4. And then the next day it might be 1.2, depending on supply dynamically. So people are trying to game the system as well too.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit more cutthroat that way.
Whoa. That would be really interesting, just seeing like the different, like country by country, how the economics of it plays out differently.
Absolutely. And Poland is producing so much fruit for black currants that they set the prices really, really low for Europe. They do a lot of exporting. And so other regions kind of have to have their own niche so they aren't competing with Poland directly because they can't beat the prices that Poland is able to produce, probably because of that cutthroatness a little bit. So in France, the black currants that they grow is almost exclusively sold in France for French products, specifically creme de cassis, but also some jams and juices. And so they get a higher premium because they can, use the special regional label of this is a Dijon creme de cassis, as opposed to this is any random black currant juice, but it can be only grown with French currants. And then in the UK, Ribena and its products that it sells in the UK are only from UK growers. And then Austria differentiates itself by doing only organic. And Poland is almost exclusively conventional. So they're differentiating themselves with that market.
Okay. You're listening to my conversation with Lily Hislop, Savanna Institute's blackcurrant and elderberry researcher. We'll hear more about Lily's trip, including which countries had the best food and the best museums, in just a minute. This podcast is made possible by Canopy Farm Management, a perennial farm management business and tree crop nursery based in Illinois and Wisconsin. Are you interested in farming with trees but aren't sure where to start? Do you have a tree planting project underway but aren't sure where to find answers? Canopy Farm Management and the Savanna Institute are teaming up to offer Tree Talk Tuesdays, a day of open office hours with agroforestry educator Carolyn Pettit. Every Tuesday, Carolyn will be opening up her calendar to the public, giving you an opportunity to meet one-on-one with someone who has their finger on the pulse of Midwest agroforestry. Learn about resources, services, options, and opportunities for perennial agriculture when you schedule an appointment with Carolyn on our website at savannainstitute.org/tree-talk-Tuesdays. And you can always learn more about Canopy's products and services at canopyfm.com. And now, here's Lily Hislop telling me more about her trip to Europe earlier this summer.
Yeah, there was very few days where I didn't work. I was just like, there's so much to learn. I can't take time to read a book. I thought I was going to be so much more bored. I had this whole plan of oh yeah, and then I can learn to do this thing on my laptop. I thought I was going to be in a lot more remote places where it's well, I can stay in the hotel room or I can walk to that one restaurant and that's all I can do. Mm-hmm. But I went to a lot of really fun places and spent a lot of my evenings just wandering cities and eating good food, and it was really, really cool.
Yeah. This is a side note, but one of the things I was learning, and we kind of nerded out about this the other day, is how much farther north European countries are than the US. Mm-hmm. Just how I think we figured out that the city of Paris is roughly at the same latitude as the US-Canada border, mm-hmm. and London is even farther north, north of Maine, I think. Mm-hmm. And so you were getting a lot of sunlight too.
Oh my God.
Because you were there for the summer solstice.
I was there for the summer solstice. And even at the end of the trip, I arrived on the summer solstice, and in Dundee there was 5 hours of darkness a night. So it's I really needed a lot of sleep because I was learning so much and my brain was working so hard.
Yeah.
But it's oh yeah, it's not gonna get dark till 11:30 tonight, and then it's gonna get light again at 4. My first day off, I was going to, like, my first day off in Scotland, I was going to go to Edinburgh. And I'm like, all right, tomorrow is for me. I can do whatever I want. I'm not going to set an alarm. And then I slept for 11 hours. And I woke up and it's like 10:30. I'm like, oh, God, I guess, well, I want to go to Edinburgh today. It will still be fine. And so I'm in the bathroom doing my routine. And Amanda texts me and she's like, hey, so the Ribena farm is actually harvesting today, not tomorrow. You're probably in Edinburgh already, but like, and I'm like, oh no, let's do it. So instead I did a harvest and I got to ride on the harvester. Oh, it was so fun.
That's great.
The yield was so good. It was just like, looked like the berries were flowing off the machine like water. And they're just collecting them in these like half-ton containers and just, oh my gosh.
So do those get taken and frozen immediately, or?
Those ones, so for example, at this farm, it's going to Ribena primarily until they fulfill their contract. And then once the contract is fulfilled with Ribena and they've provided all the amount of fruit they said they would, then they can sell it to other people. And so at this farm, they harvest them on, for example, Saturday. They are then put into a warehouse that's not cooled particularly, but is shaded. And then Ribena sends a truck to pick it up, usually around like 6 p.m., either that day or the next day. And then it's driven overnight to the Ribena facility and arrives around 2 a.m. So not in a reefer truck, but deliberately overnight so it's not hot.
Okay.
And then it's juiced immediately if the production line can like handle it capacity-wise, or it's frozen if it cannot.
Okay.
And they like have a purpose-built factory for making Ribena juice that is built to handle the load and so is very efficient. And so usually it gets juiced immediately and that's the objective. But it's not washed at any point, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So it goes from being on the bush to being juice, like pretty quickly.
Ideally within 24 hours, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's a minimum like quality standard that the farmer negotiates with Ribena in terms of like how much weight percentage can be extraneous material, so leaves and sticks and green fruit. What's the minimum number of sugar? That's usually 14 to 15 bricks, which is the measurement of soluble solids or sugars. And a couple other things like fruit, like intactness, things like that.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't want botrytis, which is a fungus.
Don't want botrytis.
Yeah. So one of the so there's a maximum amount of botrytis, and he says that one of the tricky things is if you let's say you plant a bush and the first year it puts on a little bit of fruit, but like not enough to harvest and make it worth it. The next year that fruit might still be on the bush and it might be moldy. So you kind of like have to clean the bush, otherwise it's going to contribute to your botrytis count.
Got to keep that botrytis count down.
I was surprised at how few places washed their fruit before doing anything with it. It was kind of only in Austria in some cases, and then like a little bit in Poland depending on the like application. Like if they're doing IQF, they were freezing it, but if they're individually quick frozen, but if they were doing processing for juice concentrate, they were not washing it.
Okay.
If they're doing individually quick frozen, they might be washing and drying it before freezing, but if they're doing juice processing, they're not. There you go. That's the correct way to say that sentence.
Yeah.
You were doing a great job of synthesizing what I'm sure was just an overwhelming amount of information.
I have such a big spreadsheet. I solicited questions from my colleagues here and from my growing partners in the community into this big list of 30, 40 questions, and then I tried to ask that at every place I went. And so it's questions along the row and then places I went along the columns.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
So there will be more information coming soon.
I'm hoping to write a report about all the things I learned.
Yeah.
I'll probably send it to the people that I visited just to make sure I'm not quoting them incorrectly.
Okay. What was the common coppicing regime, or how were people handling a lot of their blackcurrant plants over there?
There was not a standard practice.
Okay.
But there was a couple like different kinds of main methods. One of the big problems over there is reversion, which is a disease we don't really have here. And reversion makes like the buds just kind of like fall off and it doesn't produce yield. It's transmitted by gall mite. And so for a lot of places, especially that are growing varieties that are not resistant to reversion, they're limited in how old the plants can get by the disease. So in some places, they plant their plants, they let them grow for about 8 to 10 years until the reversion kind of gets it and it reduces the yield so much that it's not worth it. And then they just throw them out. So they never prune in the entire time of their lifespan. They just plant new plants and move along.
Okay.
In other places, one of the farms, the Ribena farm I went to, they have 25-year-old bushes that are reversion resistant and don't seem to be at the end of their life yet. So they side prune with a mechanical pruner into the plant into a V shape, and then every 10 years they coppice it to the ground.
Okay.
And then in other places, they coppice about every 5 years and don't prune in between. So kind of anywhere on that gamut, some people prune mechanically every single year, some people, combination of mechanical pruning and coppicing, or none.
Okay. Got it. We talked a little bit about Stan Pluta. We talked a little bit about
Amanda Mora.
Amanda Mora, yes. Were there other people you met on the trip or certain characters that had a good backstory that would be worth talking about more?
I also met with Maureen, who was the black currant breeder for the Dijon Institute of Agriculture. She is not the breeder actively because there is not enough support for it right now, but she's hoping to get back into it in the future. And she's currently the active mustard breeder for the Institute. Mustard breeding would be such a fun job. Oh my God.
Dijon especially, that's like a high profile job to have.
Oh, that'd be so cool. And in France, they grow almost exclusively Noir de Begonia, which is a variety of black currant that's very good for creme de cassis. It's a very old variety. It makes a very good quality of fruit for cassis. It has a very distinct and strong flavor, and it's very good for processing. But the plant is not very good agronomically in a lot of other ways. It gets reversion. It doesn't have the best yields. It gets 3 tons per hectare compared to other varieties where the kind of bar is set at 7 tons per hectare. So it doesn't produce very much. So she's trying to make a new Noir de Begonia by back crossing more robust agronomic varieties with Noir de Begonia and just doing that over and over again until you get the same fruit quality but a healthier plant. And I think that is such a classic breeding objective, and I really admire it. And she's using microsatellites to help her with that, and a lot of classic breeding techniques that I'd learned about in grad school, and it's just cool to see the application of that.
Yeah, I bet it's cool to see that there's so much extreme technology going into some of our crops now. It's cool to see things that can still be dealt with using pretty classical plant breeding techniques.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Another fun character is Stephanie Sharma, who is the manager for the International Black Currant Association. And she was kind of the architect of this trip in a lot of ways. Where when I reached out to Stan, I'm like, I want to visit. And Stan's like, you should really go see other places as well. Mm-hmm. Stephanie jumped in and was like, well, we have all these connections at the International Black Currant Association. Here's my suggested itinerary for you. And it started in France, and then it went to Austria, and then it went to Poland, and then went to Scotland. And she suggested this to me last year when I thought I was going to go on the trip. And so I just copied and pasted it to this year.
So she was your travel agent.
Yeah, she had all these connections. She CC'd everyone. She's like, all right, Lily's coming, get ready. And she was a very helpful intermediary. I was like, I haven't heard back from this person. And she's like, I'll call them. And so she was one of the original designers for the Cassis Museum. And that's how she got the job as manager at the IBA, because it's who's this person who's really well organized and knows a lot about black currants.
Yeah.
So she's like was able to like she came with me to the museum and gave me like kind of her curated tour. It was very fun. Yeah.
Nice. That's great. And I'm sure you went to a lot of amazing places. Are there any specific places that stick out in your mind of like, oh, this is like Blackcurrant HQ, or like this is like a really significant place for some type of plant breeding work?
Sure. I think the Inhort Institute is, well, the Inhort Institute and James Hutton are both kind of like big plant breeding centers that I hope to continue to collaborate with long into the future. And I hope we can trade germplasm, and like I'm planning on sending a bunch of these people the McGinnis lines of black currants for them to trial in Europe. So I really hope we can continue to collaborate. Amanda's doing really great work, and a lot of work that I was planning on doing. So I'm a little bit like, oh, you're gonna come up with a marker platform? Great, I just won't. I'll just use yours. I'm sure it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
The power of collaboration.
Oh, I'm like, oh man, Amanda, you
duplicating
just
efforts.
saved me 18 months. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
In terms of like tourism angle though, Graz, Austria was a really fun city, and I'd
Okay.
absolutely go back. It like has a mountain in the middle of the city that you can like get up to on funicular, and then on the top of the mountain there's like music venues and restaurants, and then they have a big art museum in town that looks like an alien heart taken out of like a kraken or something. It was a fun city. I really liked it.
And what was the name of the city again?
Graz, G-R-A-Z.
G-R-A-Z.
Yeah, it's on like the south side of Austria. It's very close to Slovenia. So then I just took the train into Slovenia on one of my days.
As one does. Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe that brings us to something that we wanted to do today, which was best of Europe. So I'm going to give Lily some prompts for what was, I think this is mainly by country. So what was the best country for blank?
We're brutally ranking Europe.
We're brutally ranking Europe, specifically the countries that Lily got to visit. So Lily has titled this a modest ranking of countries. Lily, of the countries you visited in Europe, which one had the best trains?
Switzerland.
Okay, tell me more.
They were on time and consistent, and it was very easy to buy tickets. Not everywhere. I bought so many incorrect train tickets. Like in Poland, there's multiple companies, and if you buy a train ticket for the wrong company, then you have to buy another one on the train. I did that in Slovenia. Oh my god. In Switzerland, the signage was all very, very clear. Like, this train is gonna arrive here. This is where all the cars are gonna be. So stand at this spot if you want to go to class 2, which is always what I wanted. I didn't want first class. And also the views out of the train were so pretty in Switzerland because there's going all the lakes and the mountains. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay, so Switzerland, best trains. What country had the best bike infrastructure?
I would say Austria. It was really robustly built out, and you could bike a lot of places, and it just seemed very comfortable to bike there. Also mention out to France, and specifically the Burgundy region, where there's lots of like bike paths between like wineries. And that was pretty cool.
Yeah, lots of people winding back and forth on those bike paths from winery to winery. Okay, what country had the best electric car infrastructure?
France.
Okay.
No, Austria.
That's how you wrote down. Incorrect answer.
It was so nice to see electric car infrastructure. I have an electric car. It's a little annoying to charge in a lot of places in the United States if you're not charging at home. But in Austria, I rented an electric car, and it was so easy. There was so many. They were just abundant to everywhere I wanted to go. It was great.
Yeah. What country had the best food?
France. Really good food culture. Very strict food culture. The restaurants are going to open from 12 to 2. You can't arrive after 1:15 for lunch.
Whoa.
I like it. And it is minimum 3 courses.
That is so foreign to me. That's wild.
And then dinner, The restaurant will open at 7 and it will close at like 10:30. Yeah, also like if you order only an entree, they're gonna look at you really weird and be like, "Are you sure you only want an entree and not a starter and a dessert and a cheese plate?"
Huh.
But very tasty.
Yeah.
Oh, I had this really good dish. I ate mostly black currant anytime I could find it on the menu, right? So I had duck breast marinated in a black currant sauce, which is excellent, and also like an invention from 1960. I thought it was a classic French dish, but it was invented pretty recently. Learned that from the International Museum of Gastronomy in France. I went to so many museums.
Yeah.
And then I had like a gingerbread cake with a black currant filling on the inside. But one of the really standout dishes was this meringue that was a ring of tonka bean meringue, which you can't get in the US because it's illegal. You can't have tonka bean. And then filled with green apple and kiwi, like in a light lime sauce. Oh my God, it was so good. And then like a beautiful crackle of sugar on the top. Oh, it was really good.
Okay, why is tonka bean illegal in the U.S.?
It's a little poisonous.
Oh.
You know,
okay.
lots of things are a little poisonous. It's like similarly
That's
poisonous
true.
to nutmeg.
Huh.
Don't eat nutmeg, kids. Don't eat lots of nutmeg all at once. You'll hallucinate for 2 days, pooping the whole time.
Okay, yeah. Lots of things are a little bit poisonous. Yeah. Good to know. Okay, what country was the cheapest to travel in?
I think Poland. Food was really reasonably priced. Hotel was really reasonably priced.
Yeah. What country had the widest cultural representations?
Like, this is probably from a history of colonialism, but there was a wider amount of countries represented in Scotland, I felt, than a lot of other places. Like, if I wanted Korean food or Japanese food or Indian food or like specific subsets of Indian food, or Indonesian food specifically, I could find them all in Scotland. Whereas in France, for the most part, you're finding French food.
Yeah.
And in Poland, you're finding mostly Poland food, though I went to a pretty good Indian restaurant in Poland.
Okay. Yeah. I really want to go to Scotland. Best museum?
Probably Switzerland. One of the places that I was really excited to see was these artifacts in a museum in Neuchâtel, where there are these little clockwork sculpture people that were developed by Johannes something.
You showed me photos of this and it blew my mind. And I'm worried people are not gonna appreciate this when it's just audio, but these things are wild.
So imagine a little boy on a desk. It's 1700, and this little boy is writing lines of text that you told him to write, and he's all made of clocks. It's like a little wind-up man, and he's programmable to write up to 4 lines of texts of whatever, and it's all just clocks and gears, and oh my God, it was so cool to see. And then they have this little lady who plays the organ with her fingers. It's not like a player wheel in the piano, a player piano wheel in the structure. It's her physical fingers playing the keys, and you wind her up. And if you don't have a song you want her to play immediately, she has like an hour of idle animation of just like looking around and breathing. They were so cool. So that was the best one. I also went to the Neon Museum in Poland. I went to the Museum of Technology in Poland. I went to the Surgical History Museum in Scotland and saw so many jars of body parts, like in every state of health you could imagine. I went to the International Museum of Gastronomy and Wine. That was a cool one. It was a great museum trip.
You went to a lot of museums, it sounds like.
Anytime that I was free, I was at a museum. National Museum of Scotland, which had a very emotional diaspora room, because I'm, I guess, officially a part of the Scottish diaspora of like all these great exoduses of people emigrating out of Scotland to go seek their fortune elsewhere. And both of my sides of my family are Scottish. That was kind of cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be That'd be powerful. Yeah. What country was the hottest?
Switzerland. France?
That's not what you put. You're failing your own quiz, Lily.
France was also really hot, but I had AC in my hostel. And in Switzerland, I was just in conference rooms and then an unair-conditioned hotel room on like the 4th floor. And it was also during the World Cup. And so at night, I had to have my windows all the way open to get any airflow at all. And during the day, I had to have my windows completely closed and shutters down to try and retain a little bit of heat. And Switzerland won its game against Canada on one of those nights. And I was outside of a main town square where people were just driving in circles, honking until like 2 a.m. and setting off fireworks.
So you've got your windows wide open and people are just out celebrating, honking,
Good
fireworks.
I'm glad they won. Interestingly, they celebrated a similar, if slightly only a little less, amount for when Portugal won. They were just an enthusiastic bunch.
Yes.
Great. Okay. What country was the most surprising?
I think Poland was the most surprising. I came in with kind of preconceived conceptions about like what I was expecting Poland to be like. And it wasn't like that. It was it certainly has an interesting culture as a like country that was formally but pretty recently communist and now is like part of the EU, and like the ways that they like there's economic development that you can see pretty recently about that. Overall, seems like people are pretty happy to be in the EU, pretty glad about it, and they like would talk about like the communist times; those were very hard.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting.
Yeah.
The Neon Museum was really neat too, because it's like, especially it's about neon as like a art and technology in Poland in like communist era 1980s, and like why would you do garish advertising in a non-capitalistic society? And it was really neat. And they talked about like we have this bright beautiful sign for butcher to show off how like we're it was like a city funded effort. We put this bright beautiful sign up for a butchery to show off the assets the city has, and the butchery has nothing in it.
Whoa.
So nuanced.
Yeah.
Best nature.
I would say Scotland. I think I went mountain biking for the first time in Scotland.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really cool. I've never been before.
Okay, best water.
Switzerland. They had really beautiful lakes, and people were really utilizing those lakes. I only used my swimsuit in Switzerland, and I wish I could have in other places.
I think you already mentioned this one, but most interesting city.
Yes, Graz. That was a very cool city. I would definitely go back. Ooh, a fun side. I saw the world's oldest grapevine.
The world's oldest grapevine.
400 years old. Still producing grapes. They make 100 bottles of wine out of it every year.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was neat.
It's weird to think that there's a grapevine that's older, like significantly older than our country.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I feel like that's just whenever I hear about Europe, that's like the thing that sticks in my brain the most is like, there's old stuff here.
Yeah, absolutely. Like in Graz, they had like, this is the oldest building in Graz. It's from 1117.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a really great trip, and look at those lasting perennials. 400 years old and still making wine.
Yes. Yeah. Sounds like a great trip. I'm looking forward to sorting through the photos and getting some of those shared out. And
we haven't even talked about the chestnuts. There's so much to this trip.
Yeah.
I also like looked at a bunch of chestnut farms in Austria with the head chairman of the Sweet Chestnut Foundation.
Yes.
There's like so many different rabbit holes.
well, hopefully we'll get into some more of the rabbit holes in the future. But is there anything else you want to talk about today? Just kind of looking back at the trip?
I'm very grateful to everyone who was able to spend time with me and share their knowledge with me. I hope that I can have that knowledge be useful to other people, but it's definitely going to be useful to me for the rest of my career.
Great. Yeah, this seems like a really good time for you to make this trip.
When I'm still early and I'm not going to be making mistakes forever and ever, I'm only going to be... Yeah, this is going to save me a lot of headaches doing things right and not repeating the mistakes other people have tested through over the last several decades. So it was really, really good enrichment for me, and I hope the things I learned is useful for commercialization of all these different fruits in the United States as well.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, thank you, Lily, for
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you
to me to be on the podcast. And I feel like the only appropriate way to end this is to have another airwave.
Thanks for having me on the pod.
Yes, thank you for being here. So this is before we got our microphones set up, but Lily and I both tried one of these Airwaves chewing gums. It's Cool Cassis, made by Wrigley. So
I'm not going to eat another one.
Lily's not going to have another one, which is pretty reasonable.
I think it tastes like black currant and mint and dentist anesthesia. Ooh. I can smell it.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, you're probably getting it from over there. It's just not good. It's. What is that tastes so bad?
It's a really it's not a pleasant mint either. It's like a really aggressive mint. Right, I'm gonna go give this to everyone else in the office.
Okay. let's get rid of these candies that we don't necessarily like. Thank you, Lily. This has been great.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll talk more soon. That was blackcurrant and elderberry researcher Lily Hislop talking with me about her trip to learn more about blackcurrant breeding in Europe. Lily came home with a lot of notes, a lot of audio recordings, and about 2,500 photos from her trip. So I don't think this is the last you'll be hearing about it. If you're a blackcurrant grower or breeder, definitely keep an eye on our website and blog for some of the things Lily will be posting in the next few months. I want to give a big thank you to Lily for her initiative in sharing what she's learned on the podcast, and for her general enthusiasm for doing communications and outreach, in addition to all of her research and plant breeding responsibilities. If you'd like to learn more about Lily's work, you can listen to our recent episode about the McGinnis Blackcurrant Breeding Program, or check out the many videos she's done for our social media and YouTube channels. If you have something you'd like to hear on this podcast, or a question you'd like to ask, or a story you'd like to tell, please let me know. You can leave us a voicemail at 608-448-6432, or send us a message on social media at Savanna Institute. If you want to get our newest episodes when they come out, all you have to do is hit the subscribe button. And if you're really a fan of the podcast and want to help us out, you can rate us in your podcast app, or send this episode to a friend. Thanks for listening. Until next time, keep up the good work, keep your feet on the ground, and keep an eye on the sky.